Today is Monday, June 12th. We've read the now unsealed indictment detailing dozens of federal criminal counts against former President Trump. We'll break down the key points about the charges and tell you Trump's response, too, as he continues his quest to the White House. Also, where part of a major interstate collapsed, what to know about the impact, despite, amazingly, no one getting hurt. Plus, there's only a month left to claim a large chunk of cash from the IRS. Why there's a planned blackout on Reddit today. And 2 historic wins to tell you about in the sports world. Those stories and even more news to know in today's episode. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The federal government is now showing its hand in what's being called the biggest legal threat to former President Trump yet. The U.S. Justice Department unsealed the historic indictment detailing the classified documents case. Along with that indictment, the special counsel also released new photos showing boxes of documents stacked in a ballroom, a bathroom, and Trump's bedroom. The DOJ says those documents included details about American nuclear programs, information about the ways in which the U.S. could be vulnerable to a military attack, secret plans for retaliation in case of a foreign attack against the U.S., and more. Special counsel Jack Smith, who's been leading the investigation, asked Americans to read the indictment in full to, quote, understand the scope and the gravity of the crimes charged. So we did. It details 37 felony criminal counts. Most of them are for illegally holding national defense information under the Espionage Act. Plus, there are charges he showed national defense secrets, including military attack plans, to people who did not have security clearance, like visitors to his New Jersey golf club. Then the other charges are for Trump allegedly trying to get in the way of the investigation by hiding the documents and lying to federal officials and his own lawyers about them. Prosecutors say they have evidence like an audio recording of the former president, text messages between Trump employees, and notes from his lawyers. In response, former President Trump took to his Truth Social account, calling special counsel Jack Smith a coward and a thug, a deranged lunatic, psycho, and Trump hater. Trump also defended himself, saying the documents at his home were personal records and questioned whether the FBI planted its own documents in with them. Plus, he demanded charges for President Biden, since classified documents were also found in his office and home. The investigation into Biden's records is still underway. Next up, Trump's first court appearance is scheduled for tomorrow. The most serious charges come with potential prison sentences of up to 20 years each if he's found guilty. But a trial is not guaranteed and may not even be scheduled for months as both sides argue over the merits of this case. To be continued. Now that former President Trump has been indicted, one of the big questions being asked is, can he still run for president in 2024? And the answer is yes. There's nothing in the Constitution that would disqualify him. And with that, Trump was right back on the campaign trail over the weekend. He spoke at state Republican conventions in Georgia and North Carolina, where he said, quote, I will never yield. I will never be detained. I will never stop fighting for you. Trump went on to say any Republican who becomes president will face similar investigations, but that anyone but him would crumble under the pressure. The former president's Republican challengers are mostly sticking up for him, though. Over the weekend, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former Vice President Mike Pence each spoke about the Justice Department being politicized. Some of Trump's allies in Congress are going even further, including one congressman who says he sees the indictment as an act of war and called for retribution. With so much tension, FBI field offices have taken the unusual step of reporting all threats to the Washington headquarters. And in Miami, where Trump's first court appearance is expected to happen, federal and local authorities are amping up security. Some rallies are apparently being planned, but at this point, there doesn't seem to be a huge nationally coordinated event coming together. Law enforcement officers are calling for calm. Canadian firefighters have started to make progress, bringing some wildfires under control, though there are still more than 430 fires burning all across the country as of this morning. All in all, more than 11 million acres are burning. That's an area bigger than Rhode Island, Connecticut, Delaware, and New Jersey combined. As you know, the historic fire season also has caused an unprecedented level of smoke to travel into the northeastern United States. The air quality did improve over the weekend, but there are still advisories in effect, the most serious one for New York City. And officials say the air quality is likely to change hour to hour. So they encourage people to keep an eye on things and still stay inside as much as possible. Rush hour could be extra tricky for a lot of people today. since part of a vital highway on the East Coast collapsed. A tanker fire below Interstate 95 caused part of it to come crashing down in Philadelphia. Amazingly, no one was reported hurt. But it's still a big deal since I-95 is the main roadway between the two largest cities on the East Coast, New York City and Philadelphia. And Pennsylvania officials say the very section of it that collapsed carries roughly 160,000 vehicles a day. Now everyone is being told to find alternate routes. Philadelphia's governor, Josh Shapiro, says he's going to be issuing a disaster declaration this morning so the state will have access to federal funding to speed up the repairs. Still, a full rebuild is expected to take months. We have much more news for you still ahead. But first, let's take a quick break to thank our sponsor, AG1, the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. I drink it every day now because I now feel more sustained energy throughout my day since starting it. I can also tell it supports gut health, and I appreciate that it's supporting my immune system too. We're talking 75 high-quality vitamins, probiotics, and whole food-sourced ingredients. I drink AG1 as part of my morning routine before I really get going and start my day. It's easy to put in a to-go cup while I have to run around with my toddler or make breakfast for him, and it makes me feel like I'm also doing something for myself and for my body. It's so easy to make with one scoop mixed with ice water. I personally like a splash of lemon. And in that moment, I have started the day on the right foot. And yes, I have tried a bunch of different supplements, but I love that AG1 is one solution to support whole body health. So if you are looking for a similar effective investment for your health, try AG1 and get 5 free AG1 travel packs and a free 1-year supply of vitamin D with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/newsworthy. That's drinkag1.com/newsworthy. Check it out. The Biden administration says the U.S. is going to rejoin the United Nations Educational and Scientific Organization, or UNESCO. The plan is to get back into UNESCO after being out for nearly 6 years now. The U.S. left during the Trump administration over what was seen as a bias against Israel. But now Israel says it's not opposed to the U.S. rejoining. And American officials say getting back in could help the U.S. in its global rivalry with China, since China has invested big money into UN organizations, and the U.S. thinks the Chinese are having a big influence on UNESCO's agenda. Already, the Biden administration set aside millions of dollars to pay for a return to the organization, so current members just need to approve the U.S. request. They'll apparently be talking about it today. Now that the U.S. federal government is cracking down on cryptocurrency, some top names in the business are making big changes. The world's largest crypto exchange, Binance, says it's going to be suspending all deposits from U.S. dollars, and American dollar withdrawals are going to be suspended as soon as tomorrow. So in other words, if you have U.S. dollars in your Binance account, your assets are going to be frozen if you don't move that money elsewhere soon. Separately, the popular stock trading app Robinhood says the company is going to delist all crypto tokens that trade on its platform that the SEC is classifying as unregistered securities. So if you have one of the commonly traded tokens like Solana, Cardano, or Polygon, you'll have until the end of this month to buy, sell, or transfer them. After that, anything left in your Robinhood wallet will be sold for market value. Remember, the SEC has taken action against several crypto companies lately, like Coinbase and Binance. The exchanges are accused of not registering securities with the SEC, though what counts as a security is disputed. Starting today, thousands of communities on Reddit are planning to protest. Nearly 3,500 subreddit forums are set to go private for at least 48 hours to condemn Reddit's new pricing policy. That includes some of the largest ones, too. Moderators are upset because Reddit is going to start charging the developers of third-party apps. And now some of the more popular third-party apps like Apollo and Sync are shutting down since they can't afford the charges. So why are so many Reddit users upset by this? Well, Reddit uses tens of thousands of unpaid moderators to keep the website functional. They make sure their subreddit forum doesn't get filled with off-topic comments, content that's banned, or even content that's illegal. But many mods say they aren't able to put in the work they do with the official Reddit app since the tools aren't as sophisticated. So with that, the protest begins. Reddit doesn't seem to be backing down, though. It has defended the new pricing model, saying its data is valuable and that it doesn't need to give all that value away for free. So, to be continued. The final leg of the Triple Crown happened over the weekend, but there's still a dark shadow hanging over the racing world. And this weekend's Belmont Stakes did not do much to help. 2 horses had to be euthanized within 24 hours because of injuries. Remember, there were also 12 horse deaths at the site of the Kentucky Derby this year. And the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority is still investigating. Despite that, there was still plenty of celebration at the Belmont Stakes. The winner was a horse named Archangelo, and the victory marked the first time a woman horse trainer won a race in the Triple Crown. Tennis star Novak Djokovic made history at the French Open by winning his 23rd Grand Slam. With that, Djokovic now has the most major singles trophies in the history of men's tennis, which dates back to the 1800s. Before this weekend, he was tied with rival Rafael Nadal for the most Grand Slam wins. Nadal was out of the French Open because of an injury, but he congratulated Djokovic afterward, saying that just a few years ago, 23 Grand Slams was thought to be an impossible achievement. But Djokovic still is not done. The ultimate goal is to win all 4 majors in one season, something no man has achieved since 1969. Djokovic has won 2 so far, this French Open and the Australian Open. As for the next 2, Wimbledon starts next month, and the U.S. Open begins in August. That's it for the main news, so now it's time for Money Monday, when we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, this episode is sponsored by ZocDoc. Finding a great doctor you trust can be tricky. There's the doctor's skill set and personality to consider, then the question of whether or not they take your insurance, and when you can actually get in for an appointment. If all of that stresses you out sometimes, like it does me whenever I need to find a new doctor, then check out the tool called ZocDoc. It's designed to make the whole search process a whole lot simpler. ZocDoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. No more wasting time calling around so many different doctors' offices only to find out that they don't take your insurance or can't get you in for another 6 months. ZocDoc is set up to help you find quality doctors and avoid all the surprises or unexpected issues along the way. Millions of people use ZocDoc to find the right doctor for them. So go to ZocDoc.com/newsworthy and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/newsworthy, ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Money Monday. The IRS is apparently sitting on $1.5 billion in tax refunds that were never claimed. But not for much longer. All the money is from 2019, and more than 1 million Americans are entitled to a share of it. The IRS commissioner thinks with all the chaos of the first year of the pandemic, a lot of people might have just forgotten to file their 2019 tax return. By law, Americans have 3 years to file and claim a refund. Since the 2020 filing deadline was pushed back from the usual April date, people have until July 17th of this year. And some people who haven't filed yet could stand to get thousands of dollars. But if they miss next month's deadline, all the money goes to the U.S. Treasury instead. The IRS has some resources in case you need help with your return or have to track down any forms. We'll post a couple of the links in today's episode notes. All right, thank you so much for listening today and making us part of your daily routine. We'll be back with much more news to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.